Imagine being a mom and receiving this picture from your daughter. Hey everyone, welcome back to J is for Justice. My name is Jay. I am your host. If you are new here, please consider subscribing and liking this video as a free way to support your favorite creators. Part 2 of Nichole Schmidt's deposition is a little tough to listen to because that picture is not Gabby's blood, as bad as that would be. More disturbingly, Nichole Schmidt states it's Brian's. Part 2 of Nichole Schmidt's deposition in the case against the Laundries.
At some point in time, did you have some communication with Gabby that made you believe the trip was not going as well as it had previously gone?
Yes.
And when was this?
August 12th.
Okay. That's the date that stands out to you?
Yes.
What happened on August 12th?
Apparently, her and Brian had an altercation and somebody called police.
Where did this altercation take place?
Moab, Utah.
How did you become aware that there had been some altercation in Moab, Utah?
Gabby contacted me.
How?
She sent me a text message with a photograph with what looked like blood smeared on her face. And then she called me.
What did she say?
She was crying. So she was actually so upset that I couldn't understand what she was saying. I asked her to send me her location, so she sent me her location. I proceeded to call the police department where that location is, and they said that somebody had already called.
When you were talking with Gabby?
Uh-huh.
And confirmed her location. Was she by herself? Was she with Brian? Was she with law enforcement? Do you know?
I believe she was with Brian. I feel like I heard him in the background.
When you were speaking with Gabby, had she already interacted with law enforcement, or they had not yet arrived?
They had not yet.
Did Gabby explain what happened?
Not at that time.
At some time later that day, or some days later?
It was that later that evening.
So just kind of focusing on this call, where she's calling and she's upset and I assume you're trying to kind of calm her down and figure out what happened.
Yeah.
And is she okay?
Yes.
Is she able to give you any understanding of what happened during that first phone call?
I just saw the picture and heard her crying, so I assumed something bad happened.
How long did you stay on with her?
Oh, it was probably less than a minute because I wanted her to send me her location. And I told her to hang up and call the police.
Had she already called the police at that point?
She did not. It was a different person had called.
Do you have any idea who?
I don't remember his name. It was a witness that saw everything. I'm sure it's in the report.
Is there something on your cheek here? Looks like, did you get hit in the face? Kind of looks like something like hit you in the face. And then over on your arm, shoulder, right here.
The photo was taken at 4:37 p.m. on August 12, 2021, just minutes before a 911 call that led up to this traffic stop.
So there's two people that came to us and told us that they saw him hit you. There's two people saying that they saw him punch you. We're just independent witnesses by Moonflower.
Well, to be honest, I definitely hit him first.
Gabby documented the injury and, during the stop, attempted to tell the Moab officers. However, the seriousness and significance of this type of injury was completely ignored.
Where did he hit you? Don't worry, just be honest.
He grabbed my face, I guess. He didn't hit me in the face, he didn't punch me in the face or anything.
Did he slap your face or what?
Well, he grabbed me with his nail, and I guess that's why it I definitely have a cut right here because I can feel it when I touch it. It burns.
Brett Ward, a family practice attorney with a specialty in domestic violence, says there may be a few reasons why the photo was released when it was.
One, the lawsuit where her parents are suing the police department came out about 3 months ago, and I imagine there's probably some pre-trial proceedings that are going on there.
To be honest, I definitely hit him first.
Did he hit you though? I mean, it's okay if you're saying you hit him, and then I understand if he hit you, but we want to know the truth if he actually hit you.
Well, like he grabbed me like with his nail.
She says the body cam video from the Moab, Utah police encounter is hard to watch.
It was definitely painful to see everybody just be upset. It was pretty typical of them to argue and try and take space from each other, but people saying they saw public domestic violence, I've never seen anything like that from either of them.
Now she wonders if more could have been done.
I definitely feel like if they had all of the 911 calls from the multiple people they said, that I think that it would have gone a lot differently and we'd be in a different situation.
Cassie says she's as concerned as she is for her brother. She is mourning for Gabby and wants her family to know her heart is with them.
I've been cooperating so that everyone gets answers. They deserve answers.
Gabby's.
Okay. And then at some point in time, do you become aware that the police had arrived?
Yes. I believe Joe had been on the phone with her while she was speaking to the police. So I think him and I were communicating, and I was waiting for her to call me back. And she called me back later on after the call, after the police had left.
How much later was that?
I would say from the first time I spoke to her, it was probably more than 2 hours.
So after there's the photograph. And then does the call come pretty soon after the photograph? Or you called her?
I can't remember if I called her or she called me. But it was right after the photograph we spoke.
Got it.
Uh-huh.
And that's a short call. And then you called the police.
Uh-huh.
Once you figured out.
Yes, sorry.
Once you figured out the geographic area, correct?
Yes.
Do you then call or text Joe?
Yes, right away.
Had Gabby already contacted Joe?
No.
What do you tell Joe?
I send him the picture.
Do you and Joe then talk about or text about what, if anything, Joe might do next? Is he going to make calls or?
I believe he called and spoke to her. I know both of us at that point were saying, let's end the trip now, figure it out. A lot of texting back and forth, but he did speak to her on the phone about it.
Did Joe tell you about that call?
I think so.
What do you remember Joe saying about speaking to Gabby on August 12th?
That he said he would fly out, get and drive the van back with her, and they could talk about what happened next. And
do you call or text anyone other than Joe once Gabby calls and sends you that picture?
I don't believe so, because my husband was home, so I told him in person. So it was just Joe.
Either at that kind of same time frame or later that day, did you ever try to contact Roberta Laundrie about what happened on August 12th?
I don't remember. I don't think so.
Or Christopher Laundrie?
No.
At any point in time between August 12th and the end of August, did you ever try to contact Roberta Laundrie for the purpose of telling her about the August 12th incident?
I don't remember. I don't think so.
The same question for Christopher Laundrie.
No.
You mentioned Gabby called. Did Gabby call you later that night, or did you call to check in on her?
She called me.
So this is now the evening of August 12th.
Yeah.
But do you remember about the phone call? Wait. What do you remember about the phone call with Gabby on the evening of August 12th?
She was much more calm. She stated that it was just a stupid fight. They had a really bad day. She was having a lot of stress, and her and Brian were both stressed out. And, just all kinds of excuses as to why it happened. And she said everything was fine. She said that the police wanted them to spend the night apart. And I didn't like that they took him and put him in a hotel and told her to go off in her van. She told me that that's what they wanted her to do.
The conversation you were having with Gabby, I'm sure part of it was just letting her vent or say what she wanted to say. Would that be fair?
Yes.
And was part of it did you ask her some questions to see if maybe if you asked a specific question, you'd get a little different version of the story? Or were you letting her kind of just say it at face value?
I think really all I asked was, are you sure everything's okay? I think I also asked, have you guys been fighting like this a lot? And she said no.
Had you ever had, whether it was a photograph or text or conversation with Gabby before August 12th, where she indicated any sort of physical contact, kind of violent physical contact had happened with her and Brian?
No.
In this call on August 12th, did Gabby explain or share what they both stressed about that had led to the tension?
She said because she's been working on the YouTube channel so much, it was stressing her out, and it also stressed Brian out.
Did you point blank ask her, how did you get a bloody face?
Yes.
What did she say?
She said, I believe she said, I'm not 100% sure how the exact words went, but I believe she said that when she was going to get her keys, that she scratched Brian with her ring or something, and that he wiped it on her face. I believe that's what she told me.
So she told you it was Brian's blood?
Yes.
Did you ask Gabby at all in this evening call on August 12th? What did law enforcement talk to you about? Or what did they say? Or what did they do?
Yes. She told me that they wanted to give her a citation, but they didn't. And that they just think they should spend the night apart to cool off.
Did you say, because this would sound like a logical question, why did they want to give you a citation?
Yes, I did ask that. Yes.
Okay. And what was Gabby's answer to that?
I don't remember her specific answer. She just said she didn't know.
After Gabby described her interaction with law enforcement in Moab on August 12th, do you recall the police department or did you recall the police department or do anything to try and check on what they actually did or didn't do at that time?
No, not after the fact, no.
Do you know, whoever the responding officer was, did he give Gabby a card like, hey, if something else happens, call me or let me know, or?
I don't believe so. I'm not sure, though.
Did Gabby express any concern the evening of August 12th about after Brian spent the night at the hotel and she spent the evening in the van, that there would be any tension the next day?
No, she did not.
Currently, do you and Joe have a lawsuit pending against the responding law enforcement agency in Moab?
Yes.
Do you remember when that was filed?
No, I don't know the date.
Okay. And before we started, I had asked you if you'd ever given a deposition before, and you said no. And by the way, you're doing great. So far, so good. But you've obviously never given a deposition in that case, correct?
No.
Do you know if any depositions have been taken in the Moab litigation?
I don't know.
And we're not going to spend much time on it. But the Moab lawsuit is against the law enforcement agency and the responding law enforcement officer, if you know.
Yes, but it's the agency. You can't sue a police officer.
And is the gist of the Moab lawsuit that if the law enforcement agency had properly done their job, then Gabby's death could have been prevented?
Yes.
And without telling me anything that you and your attorney spoke about, whether it's Mr. Riley or your Utah lawyers, because I don't want to know that.
Yes, you do.
Not really. I really don't. I really don't. Kind of what's your, whether it's an understanding or thought or belief, but what's the basis of the claims against law enforcement in Utah? In other words, was it that you think they did wrong or should have done that would have changed all of this?
Yeah, I don't know the legal terminology.
I don't want the legal terminology.
But what you basically said is if they had done things properly, if they had followed their own code, that she would still be alive today.
When did you first form that feeling or belief that if only they had done something different or better in Utah, my daughter would still be alive?
I think the first time I got to see the video.
The officer cam or dash cam video?
Yes.
When did you first get to see that?
I know it was released in September. It could have been September 13th or 14th, somewhere around there. I'm not sure.
Okay. So while Gabby was still missing, that's when you believe you first saw the footage or the video of the encounter?
Yes, it was while she was missing, yes.
What was it about seeing that video that made you think to yourself, I can't believe they didn't do more?
Everything about it.
Okay, as best as you can, tell me.
Gabby looked frightened, and they were fist pumping Brian, so it just wasn't fair.
No, I don't think so. No. You were going up in Portland, and I don't know if you're probably here more familiar with it, but wolfing, have you ever heard of that? WWOOFING.
Yeah.
You got it.
I'm from California originally.
Oh, yeah?
So, and part of my job, I dealt with employees that were from all across the United States, in Washington, Oregon, California, Nevada, everything you can think of on your left and western. I know most of them.
It's worldwide opportunities on organic farms, so it's like a volunteer work away type of situation where you can work on organic farms. So that's our goal once we get over to Washington. You know, we'll do that from Washington, then down to Oregon, and down to California. What part of California is that?
I'm from a town just outside Sequoia National Park.
It's been a good time.
You're going to be going through there?
We'll get good in the way back towards.
Go ahead. But no, it wasn't too bad at all.
So I just called one of the two witnesses, and I recorded it. You want me to tell you what he said?
Yeah.
Real quick, because it was the only door that wasn't locked that she could get through. She's trying to get it over him. He's trying to disengage from her. I guess he hung her backpack on the back, probably so she'd have her shit, so that he didn't have to engage with her. Everything she's saying is...
How did you get to see that video?
It was released on the news.
So was it like you're watching TV when the news is on? Or was this something you found out from like the internet?
Oh, I was on the internet 24 hours a day, so it had popped up at some point.
Do you remember what site you might have seen it on?
Most likely Twitter.
In this September 13 to 14 timeframe, you're on the internet a fair amount.
Yes.
And is it really mostly what you're doing when you're awake?
I'm awake 24 hours a day, yes.
Okay. In terms of where you were going to look for news or information or anything online, you mentioned Twitter. Were there other websites that you would more frequently log into or look at as well?
It was mostly social media, Facebook and Twitter, because the news stories would pop up on those first. But I would just Google things too.
Do you remember any of the Google terms you were using?
Gabby Petito, Brian Laundrie.
Were those coming back with a number of hits?
Thousands and thousands,
When you saw the video, however you saw it, around the 13th or the 14th, did you reach out to Joe about it?
Oh, we definitely spoke about it. He wouldn't watch it. I watched the whole thing.
Did you watch it more than once?
Yes.
When you saw it, while your daughter was missing, how did it make you feel?
Sorry.
That's okay. And by the way, you're welcome to always take a tissue break. And if you think you need longer, and we're going to take a break soon anyway, it's totally up to you, but
I'm good. I'm good.
I get it.
It was just really sad because she looked so scared. And the officers just I didn't think they did a good job.
Whatever the photo was that Gabby sent you, the video was significantly more concerning. Is that fair?
Yes.
Did seeing the video make you even more concerned or frightened about the explanation for Gabby's disappearance?
Objection to form.
You could still answer the question.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, because I saw how scared she was.
In some ways, when you saw the video around the 13th or the 14th, did it also make you angry at the Moab Law Enforcement Agency?
Yes.
In what way? What about it?
I just thought it was unfair treatment.
Think very hard before you answer the question. Do not quickly answer. Think very hard. When you slapped him those times, were you attempting to cause him physical pain or physical impairment? Was that what you were attempting to do? What were you attempting to do? What was the reason behind the slapping and stuff? What was it you were attempting to accomplish by slapping?
I was trying to get him to stop telling me to calm down.
Well, it doesn't sound to me like she attempted to injure him. It's your call. It's 100% your call. I support you either way. I'll let you get back to your parents, okay?
Unfair favoring Brian?
Uh-huh.
Yes?
Yes.
Were you ever able to have any direct communications with the responding officer or anyone at the Moab Law Enforcement Agency?
No.
Did you ever ask anyone at the Moab Law Enforcement Agency for more information or more explanation or kind of how could this have happened?
No.
And again, just kind of focusing on what your personal motivations are is part of the reason for the Moab lawsuit to find out the answer to some of those questions.
Yes.
All right. We've been going about an hour. Let's take a break and we'll come back and pick right back up, okay?
Okay.
All right. So we had been talking about the events of August 12th, 2021. At some point in time, do you become aware that Gabby and Brian intend to continue the big trip after that?
Yes.
You had mentioned a moment ago that both you and Joe had talked about bringing Gabby home. Did you directly talk about that with Gabby?
Yes.
What was her response?
That she was okay, everything was fine, and she wanted to finish the trip.
In terms of you checking in with her, which was already fairly regular up to that point in time, did she basically agree to something like that? Yep, I'll check in with you every day.
I think it was more like, Mom, I'm fine.
Got it.
Yes.
Did you know where they were going after Moab?
Yes. She was heading up to northern Utah. I know that after Moab, I found out that Brian was going to be flying home for a few days. So she was going to be staying in Salt Lake City.
To your knowledge, did Brian actually fly home for a few days?
Yes.
You got that information from Gabby?
Yes.
Did you have Brian's cell phone number too?
Yes.
When the events of August 12th happened, did you try to contact Brian directly?
No.
Do you know if Joe tried?
I don't know.
Why or what reason did Gabby give for Brian going home for a few days?
To empty their storage. They had their stuff in storage and they said they would like to save money by putting it back at the parents' house.
Did you know Brian had gone back to his parents' house after he had already done it, or while he was doing it?
Doing what?
Putting the stuff back at his parents' house.
I think he was there the whole time too, before and after. He went there, emptied the storage locker, and stayed there for a day or two, I believe.
I got it. During that time, did you attempt to call Brian's parents since Brian presumably was there?
No.
Whatever conversations you had with Gabby about continuing the big trip, did she say something that made you feel better about it? Or no matter what she said, you were still pretty concerned about what could happen next, given the photo and what happened in Moab?
Oh, yeah. I was concerned. But she really made me feel like she was completely fine and everything was good. Of course, I was still going to be concerned.
Did you have an understanding of when Brian came back from the storage move to go back on the van trip with Gabby? And when in August was that?
Let me get my dates right. I want to say it was around the 21st, around there, August.
Did you text or speak with Gabby where she told you Brian's back?
Yeah, yes.
You're doing fine. Between me and Mr. Riley, we'll make sure we've got it covered. When you found out Brian was back with Gabby to continue the trip in the van, did Gabby say that there were any issues or problems when Brian got back?
No.
Did you know then when Brian got back from the trip to move the storage stuff, did you know where they were going next in their van?
She told me they were heading to Jackson, which I had never heard of.
What state?
Wyoming.
Did she have a particular destination that she told you that they were heading towards?
I don't remember the names of things, but there's campgrounds up there that they were trying to get to.
To your knowledge, did they get to any of those campgrounds near or in Jackson?
Yes. They made it to, At the time, I didn't know it was Spread Creek.
I'm sorry?
Spread Creek.
When Brian gets back from the storage move and you speak or text with Gabby to confirm he's back on the trip.
Uh-huh.
How many more times did you have direct communications with Gabby after that? Did it go on for a number of days? Or did it stop around the time Brian gets back?
I would say it was almost daily. Just check-in text and stuff. Where are you? You know?
And this is August 21 moving forward-ish.
Ish? Yes.
And you're still getting almost daily texts, or are you still getting phone calls or just text?
I feel like it was mostly text because I had been getting ready to go back to work and stuff.
When you say getting ready to go back to work,
because I was in school, so we were off for the summer. So it was the end of August. We were getting ready to go back to work.
when you mean you were in school, you were working at the school?
Yes.
As opposed to like taking a class in the school?
Correct.
Got it. In these daily or almost daily follow-ups with Gabby after, roughly August 21st, does she ever indicate that problems with Brian have come back or are worse, or that anything unusual is going on?
No.
As far as she's interacting with you, it all seems fine.
Yes.
And then at some point in time, do you stop hearing from Gabby?
Yes.
Roughly when was that?
August 28th.
To go way back for a second, in connection with this lawsuit, you were kind enough to look through your phone, I believe, or at least have someone do it for you, to pull up text messages with Gabby and Joe and other people, correct?
I believe so, yes.
Did you look at those again in preparation for this deposition?
No.
Did you look at any videos, documents, news clips, anything like that to prepare for your deposition today?
No.
Did you discuss your upcoming deposition with Joe?
Yes.
And let me give you another kind of...
Okay.
To be clear about. Any conversation you had with Joe Petito where Mr. Riley was also present, I don't want to know about that.
Okay.
So did you have a conversation with Joe outside of Mr. Riley's presence about your upcoming deposition?
Just saying, good luck.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've got to go through this.
Nothing. No details. Yeah. Yeah.
Was August 28th the first day you didn't hear from Gabby? Or the last day you heard from Gabby?
I didn't hear from her.
Okay. Did you speak with Gabby on the 27th?
I don't remember if I spoke to her, but I know there was text messages on the 27th.
Did you have an understanding from those text messages where Gabby was on August 27th?
Yes.
What was your understanding?
That she was in a place called Jackson Hole, Wyoming. I believe she called it a dispersed campground.
Did you have any idea what that meant?
No.
Now, at that time, was Gabby still sharing her location with you in any way?
She probably was, but I don't remember.
Do you recall if she either sent you, like a notification, this person sharing a location, or did you look at your phone to check?
I don't remember.
In late August of 2021, did you have the ability through your phone or computer or iPad or anything like that to identify the whereabouts of Gabby's phone at that time?
I don't remember because I think I tried and I couldn't. I couldn't do it.
Did it give you a last known, or it just wouldn't show up?
I feel like it didn't show anything.
Separate and apart from whenever your last text may have been, do you remember your last conversation with Gabby?
Sort of, yes.
Okay.
It was a FaceTime call, like face-to-face conversation, not texting, you mean?
Well, it doesn't have to be face-to-face. It could just be phone.
Yes.
Whether it was phone, video, but yeah, something other than a text.
I believe it was when we FaceTimed. I think it was the 25th of August. It wasn't on my phone, though. I believe it was Flora's phone because she was visiting me. And we just all said, "Hi, Gabby." It could have been one of my kids' iPads, too. I honestly don't remember, but
that's okay.
We did speak to her, and she was having a great time and told us that she was, visiting all the parks, and she was just having a good time.
Did you have an understanding as to what the upcoming itinerary was at that point? Where she was going to be or going?
She said she was going to be heading up to Yellowstone.
Then you don't hear from her on the 28th, correct?
Correct.
And is there anything about not hearing from her, like that one day, that caused you any concern? Or did that sometimes happen?
I wasn't overly concerned on the 28th, but I did shoot a text without a response, and every day after that without a response. So, yeah.
When you don't hear from Gabby on the 29th, is that still along the lines of, well, that happens from time to time? Or do you start having a little more concern on the 29th?
I think it was more of maybe she has... oh, shit. I think it was more of maybe she has no signal right now.
As we move forward from the 28th and the 29th, at what point do you start having a greater concern that I'm, as her mum, I'm worried that she hasn't called or texted me back?
After probably 5 or 6 days of getting no response and checking social media and seeing nothing posted, I started to worry. And I don't remember what day I texted Joe and said, "Have you heard from Gabby?" And he responded back with, "Only if she wants something is when she texts me." Some joke. But yeah, I was still concerned. And then it wasn't until the 8th that I started making phone calls to national parks. Oh, and I'll backtrack. I got a text from her phone on the 30th that said, "We are in Yosemite. And we have no signal." So that prolonged my worry a little bit too. I thought, oh, okay. They don't have a signal. But then they weren't supposed to go to Yosemite. So I questioned it. A couple of days later, I was like, wait a second.
When you said around the 8th, and I think we're talking September 8th, 2021.
Uh-huh.
Yes?
Yes.
You started making some phone calls?
Yes.
And who exactly were you calling?
Myself and my friend Jackie was helping me.
What's Jackie's last name?
Jackie Campagna. Campagna.
Does she live nearby?
She's in Blue Point, and her husband Craig, who's a police officer in Suffolk County, he was helping make phone calls as well. We were calling parks, police, park rangers, out in all the different parks, Yellowstone, Yosemite, and whatever parks are in Utah. We called all of those, and they were saying there was no reservations. They haven't. They don't have her in the system. So that's when I started really getting concerned, because I knew she'd make reservations for parks.
Were you able to identify the last park that Gabby had made a reservation for?
I don't remember. I can't remember if they found a cancellation in the system. I think something was canceled. I just don't remember what park it was for.
At any point in time prior to the 8th of September 2021, had you tried to contact Chris or Roberta Laundrie?
No.
To see if they had heard from someone?
No.
At any point in time prior to September 8th, 2021, had you tried to contact Brian directly?
I believe I texted his phone number and it went through green. And I thought he had an iPhone, which is usually blue. So I didn't know if he had changed his number because I had 2 numbers in my phone for him. When I looked back recently, I had 2 numbers in there. So I might have texted the wrong number. So just backtracking, I had a phone that I lost in a lake in late August of 2021. So I did lose a lot of information. So it was a new phone that I had when I was doing all this text messaging and stuff.
Did you lose one iPhone and replace it with another?
Yes.
When you got your new iPhone, did you go to like the cloud backup to load the stuff back in?
I did what I did, but it didn't save everything.
Do you know when your phone last had a backup before it went in the lake?
No.
Do I want to know how it went in the lake? Is there a story there?
We were on a pedal boat and it fell out of my pocket. So yeah.
So on 8th of September, is it still mostly you and Jackie just making phone calls and seeing what you could find out?
Yes.
Is Joe doing anything at this point, to your knowledge?
I'm not sure about the 8th. I believe on the 9th and 10th is when we really started making more phone calls. And he might have made some on the 9th. I'm not sure, though.
At some point, do the phone calls shift from calling the parks and places like that to law enforcement?
Yes.
When was that?
I believe that was the 10th, was when I called. I called Northport first because the park ranger said in order to report someone missing, it needs to be either a place of residence, and then I called them and they didn't want to take the report.
So this would be Northport, Florida.
Yes.
Did they explain, whoever you spoke with, why they did not want to take the report?
Because it didn't happen in Northport.
Did they give you any guidance on what you should do if you didn't know?
They said we should probably try the park rangers. And I said, I already did that. And they said it needs to be done where she lives. It was a back and forth.
Did you ultimately find a law enforcement or governmental agency that seemed willing to take the report?
Night and day difference between Nichole and Roberta.
Yeah.
I mean, Nichole is actually, I'm really surprised because I didn't think that they talked to Gabby as often as they did. And to hear that they did, I think really drives home the point of how when people are in a domestic violence situation, how good they are at keeping it under wraps and not, letting people know.
Yeah. It's scary.
It really is. It really, really is. And it's sad that they weren't able to just get her home. So I'm wanting to know what happens next because now we're going to go into Brian actually leaving in the van like they planned on Joe doing, going out there and getting his daughter, saying, F you, Brian, right? They didn't care what was going to, he can figure it out. But we're going to get her van and get her home and we'll figure the rest out later. And they were doing all the right things.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't keep your adult kid at home. If they want to go explore, they're going to go explore.
Yeah, you got to let them go.
Right. And you want them to keep in contact with you. So you tell them your feelings just like she did. I would have done the same thing. As your mom, it worries me. As someone your age, I get it. Just be smart. Just use your gut.
Yeah. And you think as well, that if you've got location services on and you're keeping in contact every day And you're like, if there's ever anything, just call me or whatever. You think that they're going to be okay.
Mm-hmm. Especially with technology now. You've got so many ways to keep in touch, and you can see their live location and follow where they're going and their social media if you don't hear from them. So it does feel like there's like a little cushion of security there with having your... Be sure to check out my other videos and playlists for more true crime content. And if that's not enough, you can join our Patreon. Don't have a tinfoil hat? It's okay. We'll make you one. It's that easy. See you guys in the next video.
See you later. Bye.